say. I mean, Bill likes to say those that take the king's coin will always defend him. And to a certain degree, I think that's true too. People aren't going to destroy what feeds them. And that's why being self-reliant and prepping and growing your own food is so important. So you can get off that dime when the time comes. I mean, people talk about we got people, you know, retired military, disabled, people have been on welfare, unemployment stuff, and everybody's acknowledged that, been on there and talked about it. But you got to know the difference between supporting that and when the time, you know, and not fighting for it, you know, not demanding it, and being able to cut yourself off from it and working towards that goal, I guess, would be the ultimate thing. Too many people work towards being on government dependent, and the problem is the money. The problem is absolutely the money, I should say the dollars that we use. It's not money. The currency that we use it's trapped us, and it will continue to trap us as long as it's controlled by a central bank and devalued. And that's what makes us all dependent, because we're not able to build our own wealth to escape anything. It's a method of control, and it's the number one method of control right now. Really, is economic reality. One thing that ties everybody together and keeps everybody in line right now is economic control. If those checks weren't there, I think we would have seen a revolution quite a ways back. Because everybody's got lulled in this sense of prosperity, and that having a big screen TV and, you know, being able to go to the grocery store every day is a sign of success. It's going to help get you by. And I think that's what's holding us back. And that's going to be the control they have over all of us for who knows how long. And like I've said several times, we're either going to an economic collapse or we're going to a police state. Or they'll diverge at some point. Either they're not going to institute the police state because it's a true collapse, or it's too fast for them and they can't control it, or to prevent the economy from collapsing, they're going to have to control people and control their production, and their value and wealth in the economy is going to have to be controlled to prevent a collapse. Because they're going to have to control how you spend your money and how you do your job and where you work and everything else. So that's some thoughts continuing off the Green Dragon. Definitely an interesting discussion there for a little while last night. Got a little heated, which is always good. But yeah, I just don't know if there's. I don't agree with you, Eagle. That's for sure. I don't think that things are all potentially rosy for our children and grandchildren. It's just not going that direction. There's too many people that can take what America has, you know, other nation-wise, and we're a lot shallower strength-wise. We're not as strong as everybody thinks we are. I don't believe, especially economically. And I think Russia and China know that. But they're not willing to go out and just throw hundreds of thousands of lives away to get it. And they, you know, Russia stood up when the West tried to undermine Ukraine and get in Russia's back door. And I just don't get all these people I see posts all the time about, you know, Russia invading Ukraine and the rise of the Soviet Union and this and that. Hey, I mean, the West went in and undermined Ukraine's government and sovereignty with an economic bailout, and you expect Russia to stand by and say, okay, you can do that to our neighbor, and people that we have ethnic and social relations with much more closely than they have any relations with Western Europe. And the Western bankers thought they could get away with it, and Russia pushed back. Said, no, you're not going to get this. And everybody's blaming Putin like he was the aggressor in this whole thing. It's that cognitive dissonance. There was another video out, I think E. Kenny and Linda put out, or shared a video. I don't think they made it, but they shared a video that talked about that some more. And we've talked about that time upon time in the Green Dragon and elsewhere. Not accepting the facts for what they are and reorganize your own reality to meet what your perception is. And they can't face the fact that the Western bank-owned powers tried to go in and undermine Ukraine, and they got caught, and they got busted by Putin, who stood up to him, and then he secured what he saw as what was necessary for his country, because Crimea has always been strategically important to Russia. You know, the Crimean Wars back over a century ago were all part of securing Russia southern port, and et cetera, et cetera. And it would be, I don't know what the equivalent would be. It'd be like Mexico reinvading Texas or something. We're just not going to let Mexico, well, I guess we are kind of letting them do that now, but it would be something like that, along those lines. Mexico wanting to re-secure New Orleans or something. Or Spain coming to retake Florida because they, I don't know, things are that important to the nation. We wouldn't just let happen. Or if Spain wanted to come and retake Mexico for whatever reason. You know, right in our back door. We're just not going to let somebody destabilize the country right in our back door. Just because they can get away with it. But things aren't looking good, people. There was a announcement today. I was listening to the radio this morning, and they were talking about the people that make Candy Crush, that game you get all those annoying invites for if you're on Facebook. I didn't. Apparently, it's a big deal because whoever made that, the company that makes that game, just got went public. They basically offered public shares for sale in the stock market, you know. So they went public, and they were talking about how that company, 75% of that company's profit is from that one game of Candy Crush. And it's like, you want to see how shallow our economy is? Look at the big names on, you know, what on the stock market. Google, Twitter, Facebook, this company, it's all fake. You know, they don't produce anything. It's all service oriented. You know, there's no value built there. They can help people do their jobs better. They're talking about Google and maybe Facebook with advertising and stuff. They can help businesses work better, interact, whatever. But the big businesses that produce are gone. Even the big time names that are on the stock market that actually produce goods. I mean, what are they? Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble. They're companies that they provide a good that is, you know, just not a necessity. It's not not high value, I guess you'd say. It's everyday stuff. You know, your Procter & Gamble makes all your home products, you know, for yourself, for cleaning or whatever else. They make a ton of stuff like that. It's kind of just nice to have stuff. Who's, you know, GM and those companies like that are so just pathetically incompetent that they're not making money and they're not building in value. I guess things like Boeing, you know, I guess they're doing a little bit better, but how many of those are there out there? And they're not the top. They're not in the top valuations. They're not considered high value, high return on what you invest, because they can't make up money on what they produce. They're so limited by regulations and taxes. But you got companies out there like GE who get inside tax breaks, and GE is a company that would have great potential because they've always made high durable goods and stuff, but they got all sucked into this alternative energy business, and they're throwing hundreds of millions of dollars away, and they're writing it off on taxes, trying to get all that stuff started and on wasted technology instead of innovation. And we're basically bailing GE out. GE's been sucking off the government ever since, who knows how, ever since the new administration at least. They got right in bed with them. Right off the bat, this whole alternative energy thing. GE's a company that would have great potential to actually produce value. So, yeah, economically, it's if it doesn't look good, nothing else is going to look good until we can get our currency in line. And OIF, Eagle, if you want to look at if your kids have a bright future, open up your wallet, pull out a dollar bill. And that bill no longer says Federal Reserve note. We have a chance. As long as whatever you carry your money as a daily currency says Federal Reserve Bank, Federal Reserve note, the central bank of anything, you will always be undervalued and losing wealth. And as long as you're losing wealth, we can't build on what we've got. And this is another discussion we had at work the other day. Man, it's gonna be a long video. Might have to edit this out and make this into 2 videos. Oh man. This came up at work the other day. And this went right along the discussion. We're talking about vital stats and birth records. Because there was talk of fee increases to generate, a little more money to pay offset some costs and stuff. And I was like, well, you better, raise them on death certificates first, because people are dying a lot more than they're being born. And you get those quizzical looks. And it's like, okay, obviously you're not paying attention. People aren't. So I quickly explained to them, Americans are not replacing our people with an acceptable birth rate. Our birth rate is down under 2 somewhere, or at 2, which is below replacement levels. If you only have 2 people for every 2 people alive, a couple only has 2 people, has 2 kids, you're not going to replace the population, because kids die of sickness, people die young, and everything else. So you're below replacement rates, which I think replacement rate is like 2.33 or something like that. We used to be at like 2.7 back in the 50s. And Western Europe now is at like 1.7. But I'm like, people are dying at a lot higher rate. It's like the death rate's like 2.5 or something to every 2 people producing whatever. But they were just all shocked. Many people were dying faster than they're being born. I'm like, why do you think we don't care about illegal immigration? Why do you think corporations want people to come get in here? Because we're not producing workers. We can't reproduce the workforce. Not that there's jobs to be had, because the unemployment's so high, obviously. But you can get cheap labor, get it, right? So here's a big drive into the big city. Hope I didn't ramble too long. We'll take a look at this video and see if it deserves to be cut up into 2, posted as a morning drive chat 1 and 2 or something like that. Looks like a little bit of snow came down this morning already. Hopefully some more pushes over the mountain instead of the Sierra setting it all up, but we'll leave it up there until summertime at least. I hope everybody's doing good. Keep your head on a swivel. Do what you can to prepare. The walk for the revolution continues. If you don't know what that is, I'll put a link below. You can go check out a couple of the videos that have been going around. It's just a good time to get out, walk your area, walk your neighborhood, walk somewhere, get a little exercise, and time to discuss topics on these very things.